Hello! Today's tutorial will be accomplished using Final Cut Pro 4.5 HD. This is going to be a fairly advanced tutorial. It assumes you have some working knowledge of keyframing. Going to be using some advanced features. I'm going to try and show you everything step by step here. In this tutorial, we're going to demonstrate how to create this 3D revolving planet look. It was created using just 3 layers in Final Cut Pro, or 4 if you want the glowing kind of atmosphere around the planet. As you can see, it is literally just 4 layers. Now this surface texture was created in live type in HD mode, so I could get plenty of resolution on the texture. And the star image was also a high-res image. You want these surface images to be high-res. Step 1 of this tutorial is going to be to take an image like this and turn it into an image like this. To do that, we're going to first, we're going to use a sequence that's set up in HD just so that we maintain as much resolution on this. I have that sequence open already, and I'm going to demonstrate for you now how to do that. Here's my green surface image. In order to create that look, what we're going to use is a technique called Traveling Matte Luma. So coming over here, you can see I have my surface texture on the timeline, and I'm going to move that. I want to move that up 1 layer so that it's not on the bottom row. We're going to use the generator tool to create a circle. We go down here to Shapes and then Circle. And now we have a circle up there. I'm going to drag it down to the timeline. Now that it's on the timeline, put the cursor over it, and I'm going to double click on it. Now, when I make changes up here to the controls, I should see them reflected in the output window right there. So you have 2 basic parameters here. You have size and you have softness. I'm going to first go with the softness, and I'm going to crank that up because I want a really, really soft edge. Now, the point of this, though, is that I want it to be from 100% white to 100% black before it goes off the edge. So now that I have the softness way up, I'm going to have to knock the size way down until I get that look. And if I can't, I'm at 1 and I can't get that look, so that means I'm going to have to lower the softness down until I want it to be completely black up at the edge here. And it looks to me that around 50 or so, I have the size at 1, which is the smallest it can go, and the softness can only be up as high as 50, and basically I have a nice soft glow that goes all the way from white in the center all the way out to black on the edge. I've taken my circle and I've placed it underneath of the green surface. I'm going to select the green planet surface, and I'm going to go up here to Modify, Composite Mode, Traveling Matte Luma. So I've applied that compositing function to this layer. In the case of a Traveling Matte Luma, you're going to use the layer beneath to control the opacity of the layer above. But wherever this layer was white, this layer will be solid. And wherever this layer is black, this layer is transparent. Any level of gray would be semi-transparent. So now, placing the cursor there, you can see what the result looks like. And that is basically what we need for our planet surface. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export that as a frame, and then we're going to switch over to working in standard def. Looking down here at the timeline, you can see we're going to click on the timeline so that the timeline window is selected. We've placed the time cursor over the section where the composite is taking place, and now we're going to go File, Export, using QuickTime Conversion. Down at the bottom of the window, you should see a bunch of different settings, and we want to pick from that list Still Image, and then click on Options. Here's the pane that opens when you click on the Options button. Now I've picked JPEG as my image type. I have frames per second set to 29.97. Let's see what options there are here. Best depth. Okay. And then I just have to give it a name. So I'm going to call this green surface with highlight. And then I'm going to hit the save button. And now I can switch back to the other sequence, which is in standard def mode. I'm going to import the image that we just created, files, and that would be it right there. Okay. Now, double checking that that is the same image. Good. These are HD res images, but we're going to be working in standard def. Let's continue by dragging and dropping the elements down onto the timeline. First is our background star image. And next, we're going to grab the planet surface highlight. I'm going to drag and drop that, but I'm not going to go to the track immediately above the stars. I'm going to leave a space. I'm going to go to the third track. Next, I'm going to go to the Generators tab, down to Shapes, and Circle. And I'm going to use this circle to create the edge, the outline of the planet. So I'm going to go to the Controls tab, and I'm going to take the softness down to 0. And let's just raise the size of this up a little bit there. Let's go to 70 video. That looks good. And then I'm going to drag and drop this onto the timeline in between the other two layers. Now the same effect that we used to create the highlight, we're now going to use to create the edge of the planet. So I'm going to select the planet surface image. I'm going to go up to Modify, down to Composite mode, and then to Traveling Matte Luma. And as we described before, Traveling Matte Luma applied to this image allows this image to be cut based on the brightness of this image and then expose this image. And as you can see, now we have our texture, but it's now cut out by a circle and it's overlaid on top of our background image. And as you can see, our 3D effect is already beginning to take shape. So next, let's resize these images to get the look we're looking for. I'm going to double click on the stars image, and I'm going to go up to its motion tab, and I'm going to scale this image up a little bit. Okay, that looks like a good place to start. Now the objective here is I want to start the image rotating around an anchor point that's down here somewhere at the bottom of the image. So I need to adjust the anchor point. Just like the center, the anchor point has an X and a Y value. The X is the horizontal, the Y is the vertical. And we're going to need to offset the anchor point on the Y value. Let's start with 1,000. As you can see, the image has dropped down to the edge of the frame. I want to pick that back up and recenter it. So I'm going to come up here to Image and choose Image and Wireframe. And these handles will now allow me to pick up and replace the image anywhere I want. And as I can see right now, I can see the top and the bottom of that image, so I haven't zoomed it large enough yet. So let's take the scale and go up a little bit higher. That'll probably work about right. Now, the idea is, again, we want this background image to rotate around a point down here. If I adjust the angle, I can see that it is in fact doing that. And as long as I don't move the angle too much, the edges of the image won't show up. And that's what we want to make sure that doesn't happen. Now that we know that we have the offset right, I want to recenter it. So I'm going to take the X value and just enter 0 there. This is the end of part 1. To continue, check out part 2.